Okay, it's time to start determining whether this strategy of no home storage battery was a wise one or a fool's errand. And here's the big picture, okay? This is where we're at for 2024 so far. On the left-hand side, you can see the amount of energy that's been imported and how much I've been charged by Octopus Energy, £594. And you can see on the right-hand side how much I've exported and what I've been paid for the export, £827. So that leaves me in credit of nearly £233. Now, just as a reminder, my system comprises of 6 430 watt solar panels facing southeast, 16 430 watt solar panels facing northwest. I know, very controversial, but this is another part of the test. I've got a Sunsynk 8.8 kilowatt inverter, no home storage battery, and that's what we're testing right now. If this doesn't pay off, then next year we will be looking at adding a home storage battery. That system cost me about £10,000. In addition to that, we're a fully electrified house, so we have no gas hob anymore, induction hob, Valent 7 kilowatt heat pump system. I've got an MG5 electric car as well. So all of those charges are going to be rolled in, and I'm going to drill down in some of the detail. I'm going to try and go a little bit quicker than usual because there's a lot more data to share with you this month. So I'm on the Octopus fixed export tariff, which pays me 15 pence per kilowatt hour. So you can see during the month of October, 213.88 exported at a price paid to me of £32.08. And you can see that our average import for the rate on Octopus Agile was 12.8 pence, and I used 531 kilowatt hours at a cost of £67.87. And once again, you can find my links in the description of joining Octopus Energy. They've got a lot of innovative smart tariffs, and you can really game the system in a lot of ways and gain a lot of advantages if you're smart about it. So if you follow my link, you get £50 credit on your new account, and I get £50 kickback as well. So the average import rate so far this year has been 17.5 pence. Now, at the beginning of the year, if for long-time viewers, you'll know I was on Octopus Tracker. I'm now on Octopus Agile. Octopus Agile has decreased the average unit rate quite considerably, actually, over Octopus Tracker because I've been gaming the system. So I'm going to need this figure as I come to do some of my calculations on whether I could have saved more money on a home storage battery, which will be coming very soon. So subscribe to the channel to see that. Here's the October solar generation total. 346.8 was generated, 213 of which was exported, and I needed to import 531. Standing charge removed from the calculation, which leaves me with a deficit of £35.79. And if once again you want to tell me I'm an idiot for removing the standing charge, just type in the comments below, "You're an idiot." That's all you need to type. I get it. Generation versus forecast. So when you get the proposal for a solar panel system, there will be a forecasted amount of generation. These are the blue bars in this chart. As you can see, apart from the first month of January, which we only had 2 days of solar generation because the system was installed right at the very end, every other month we're still exceeding the forecast of what we would expect. And most of these months, it's the northwest panels that are far exceeding the expectations, especially in the summer months where those northwest panels do exceptionally well and much better than any of the modeling software predicts. You can see in October we were still ahead of where we should be, but it wasn't great, was it? 347 kilowatt hours was pretty low, and we had some pretty rough days, a lot of cloud towards the end of October as well. Overall, this is what the picture looks like. We were expecting a minimum of 6,261. We're already at 7,288, not including November and December. Okay, export versus import. This kind of shows how the profile is changing through the year. The blue bars are what's been exported and the purple bars are what's been imported, and it's quite a linear trend in both directions. So it's what we would expect anyway. No anomalies for this month. Here this one shows you in pounds and pence. So you can see, obviously, it's the first month now that we are being charged more for our import than our export since the heydays of the summer, but that's fine. We're just eating into some of the credit. Before we get to the end of the video, 99% of you won't like the video and won't leave a comment. I don't know why not. 96% of you aren't even subscribed. This is from my solar inverter. Sunsynk inverter shows the PV generation, what's coming from the solar panels in green, and it shows the export in yellow. And as you can see, I've been closing the gap. So we've been exporting more than we've been exporting a larger proportion of what we've been generating. The first few months, I wasn't making as much use of load shifting. And you can see really from May onwards was when I really started pushing a little bit more for load shifting and using energy when it was cheaper to try and import cheaper energy and export as much of that solar as I could. Anyway, heat pump consumption. Some of you wanted to see a lot more data on the heat pump consumption. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds of it, but it's doing really well for us. You can see the month of October, it consumed 165 kilowatt hours of electricity and it generated 680 kilowatt hours. The heat pump cost, I'm going to start doing that going forward. I haven't backdated that, but I need to. The 165 kilowatt hours of electricity that we consumed for the heat pump, it cost us approximately £21 rounded. Here's just a couple of screenshots from my Valent app that comes with the heat pump, and you can see that overall for the month of October the COP was 4.1. And remember, I'm not running the heat pump to get the best coefficient of performance. I'm running the heat pump to get the lowest cost in pounds and pence. So I could drive this COP up quite considerably. There's quite a few things I could do to fudge the numbers and make that look better. But this is real world scenario of a warm, comfortable home and not really fussing about the COP. And on the right hand side, that is space heating only. So if I take out the domestic hot water and just put the space heating in, then it brings it up to 4.6. And there's a few reasons for that, but one of which is that when there's been like an agile period, I've been heating my hot water tank up to 70 degrees. Very inefficient, but sometimes I've been paid to do that. So I've lost quite a lot on the COP by doing so, but I've saved myself quite a lot of money. So it's been very cheap to run for the amount of hot water and the heat output in the home. Anyway, EV charging. This is another one that I've been playing the system a little bit. There's been once or twice where we've needed to charge on more expensive rates, like here on the 19th, paying £4. Why has this all changed to January? Oh dear, what have I done? Anyway, I'll check that for next month. And at the end of the month, we're going away on holiday, so we had to charge on a more expensive rate. So we paid £7 for 40 kilowatt hours. But there are other times where we paid nothing, and actually one of these sessions is a minus figure just by a few pence. So overall, it balances out, and we're very happy with the running costs of the electric car so far on the Octopus Agile tariff. This actually goes to show that the average rate on Octopus Agile for us charging the car has been 7.8 pence, which is brilliant. That's lower than Octopus Go, and that's almost as competitive as Intelligent Octopus Go. Okay, where are we next? This is a new little summary to show you. So this is showing on the top here the energy that's been supplied, the percentage by the grid and the percentage by solar, and then £68 from the grid, £21 from solar, and I've put these rates at the 15 pence unit rate for solar. So not gaming the system. This is, if I hadn't have consumed that solar, I would have exported it at 15p. So I'm not going for the price cap rate, which some people could say that's fair game to go for that. But anyway, I've got to stop getting in the weeds. Stop waffling. EV consumption was 37%. Home was 38%. The heat pump was 25%. I expect this balance to shift quite dramatically towards the heat pump as things get colder. And as you can see, because of the heat pump really and the EV being able to properly game the system and only use those or really ramp those up during agile periods, and really avoid the 4 to 7 p.m. peak, which I can't do with a lot of the home thing. I'm always cooking during that 5 to 7 p.m. window, and if there's not solar to power my oven or my induction hob, I'm always using more expensive electricity for the rest of the home. But I hope this little summary is interesting. You may want to pause it and get into the weeds of it. This just shows the profile over the month of the generation, and on the left hand side there is the month of June, which is our very best month, September last month, and then October our current month. Sorry if I'm not making that clear. You can see that our best day of solar generation was 19.5 kilowatt hours. Our worst was 4.3 kilowatt hours, which we had on 2 occasions, and our mean was 11.19 kilowatt hours. People are here quite often to see how the Northwest panels are performing and if they continue to outperform the expectations, and they have, but it is getting worse and harder. So 73% of our solar panel coverage, square meterage, our surface area is on the northwest roof, and 27% of the surface area is on the southeast roof. The southeast roof produced 38% of our solar generation. The northwest produced 62% of it, and you can see the figures over here in kilowatt hours, and that relates to 13 kilowatt hours per panel on the northwest roof. Reminder, there's 16 of those. The southeast roof averages 22 kilowatt hours per panel. Reminder that there's 6 of those. This figure is decreasing month on month. For October, northwest produced 62% compared to southeast. Rule of thumb says that you should expect 50% over the course of the year. I think that's rubbish, but I know that is north versus south, and I'm northwest versus southeast, so it's not a completely fair comparison. I'm just trying to draw people's attention to the fact that you should cover your roofs, just cover it in surface area is all good. 62% is now the lowest we've seen, so we were well up in the 70s. We were almost at 80% in the heyday of the summer. So what about optimizers? They've done a lot better for us in October, surprisingly. 5% reclaimed by the optimizers. Once again, we reached a peak production of 2.59 kilowatts, and the panels are theoretically rated at 2.5 kilowatt peak, so it's well within the grasp of any solar panel system, even in October, to reach or exceed the peak rating. And we were looking at 1% reclaimed on the optimizers. Now we're looking at 5%. It's mainly because of this shade in here. So we have the optimizers on these panels because this front roof obstructs some of the panels, especially these lower corners here. So anyway, I need to keep moving. October self-consumption was 137 kilowatt hours. Our export was 213.88 that I've already shown you. Here once again is the profile of the export. You can see our best day was 13.3 kilowatt hours, our worst was 0.9, and our mean was 6.9 kilowatt hours, compared to the worst day in June was 18.9 kilowatt hours. So the worst day in June was better than the best day in October. Here's the split of the export versus import, and the pounds and pence and the percentages. And once again, this is made possible through the smart tariffs at Octopus Energy. I have looked at Eon and Tomato and a lot of other providers, but none of them can offer me the same perks that Octopus Energy can to enable me to potentially make this financially viable to not have a home storage battery. This is the feel-good factor. We know these figures are a load of rubbish if you watched before we've gone into more depth, but on the left-hand side, that's what the Tigo app reports, and on the right-hand side, that's what the Sunsynk app reports, and you cannot change these fixed assumptions. This was our best day, 19.5 kilowatt hours. You can see the times at which we reached those figures, and unfortunately, we didn't even get up to 5 kilowatts on that day. And I didn't change the times at the bottom, the times when the generation was starting and ending. So those were from last month. You can ignore those. And I haven't yet done the payback calculations. I apologize. I know I keep promising them to you, but these videos keep getting longer, and I will probably make a video just about the payback. Thank you for watching. If you watch this far, you should definitely give us a thumbs up. Leave any kind of comment to let me know you're still here. Maybe you could just put watch to the end. And 96% of you still aren't subscribed. There's going to be a lot more coming. We're building to the climax of the real conclusion of whether paying extra money to cover my northwest roof was a smarter decision than investing in home storage battery, or whether I was an idiot to do that. Who knows? But the figures, we're getting so close to knowing over the course of a year whether you can actually just go with solar panels and not a home storage battery. And now I'm waffling on, so goodbye, thank you for watching, see you again in the future.